pterodactyl slash harpy. I always liked the idea of the mythical animal, the harpy, but I'm not quite sure. I always also felt like maybe it was kind of sexist, but maybe that's because I was reading Pierce Anthony books, which are all sort of like they don't hold up over time. Okay, folks, welcome. Thank you so much for your patience. If you've lasted this long, it's already 13 past, but this is about when we usually start the meditation. So this is our stream. Folks, since we took so long to get here, I'm going to wait just a few moments for folks to trickle in, and then we're going to jump right into the practice. Okay. Looks like everyone is... Nope. It's still, quote, sending data to Twitch. It is visible everywhere else except for Twitch. Hello, it looks like you've rejoined us on YouTube. Thank you so much. Here, we're still having trouble getting to Twitch, which is where everybody is. What do you think, Tomlin?
I am actually trying to stream to Twitch and YouTube at the same time. So just give me a second. I'll just try if I have the same problem. Can you hear me?
Yep. It's funny because one of the announcements we were making, two of them, both of these are ironic. One is that there will be no stream Friday and Monday, which is important for people to know. But if there's no stream that they can see, we can't make the announcement. That's one thing that's ironic. Two, the announcement is we may stop streaming to YouTube, so everybody come over to Twitch. The problem is there's no stream on Twitch. These are all quite very ironic. They're very existential. It's like, what's, how do you tell people to come to a place that doesn't exist? So yes, so Tomlin is right now heatedly checking if he's having the same problem of streaming to both places. It is unknown. It is an unknown. It's worth noting, Tomlin, that someone contacted me. This is just a random person, and they said, hey, I just wanted to warn you. I don't want to I like what you're doing. It's great. And it's against the terms of service to restream anywhere else. So I was like, oh, well, thanks for letting me know. Oh, we have more people joining us on YouTube. Welcome, folks. This is our funny high glitch situation. So we've got a little technical storm going on. The main place that we stream, almost inevitably, is twitch.tv. It's just like YouTube. It's just all live, only live. And YouTube is kind of a pain in the ass. They shut down your live stream if they even think you maybe did something wrong, like play someone else's copywritten material, even if you commented over it, which makes it legal. Even if they think maybe, they'll shut your stream down for 90 days, which is just insane. It's like, I can't have a stream shut down for that long. So we switched everything over to Twitch. And just today, for the first time that I can remember, Twitch is having a technical difficulty, so we can't stream there. So most of our folks are over there. So, but the folks who are here from YouTube, let's chit chat. That's what I want to know. What's going on with you? What's up in your life? Who's here? Who's on the stream that I can't see? I know Nate's with us, I think. Nate, and I think we were supposed to meet at some point. I forget if we scheduled that or if I sent you the link. If I didn't, please forgive me. Let's get that. We can get that going. I just have to send you over a link to plan a time to get together. Who else is over here? My digital machine tells me that I'm able to see where people are, but I can't tell who they are. We have someone joining us from Facebook also. Welcome, folks. We're in the middle of this is what a live stream debacle looks like. This is where everything kind of crumbles and hits the wall. So we're just chatting for a little while our tech support tries to work this out. What on earth is happening? This might be a system-wide thing where we're trying to stream to Twitch, but what we're finding is the stream is just non-functional. Let's see. Beep up 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 beep up beep up up up.
I have the same problem.
Oh, you have the same problem. Okay, so Twitch is not receiving signals. Is that roughly what we're collecting?
Twitch is not receiving signal from Restream.
From Restream.
So
okay.
even
So here's what I'm gonna ask you to do, Tomlin, is it possible for you to try just shutting everything off and streaming directly to Twitch to see if that works, and then I'll just shut off all the other channels?
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Just give me 2 minutes.
We have an interim solution here, folks, so that means the meditation part of the stream will begin very soon, if we're correct here. So, since you asked, since you're so interested, just kidding, I'm sure this is a little boring, watching a technical difficulty smash into the wall. But hey, there's more and more people watching, so what the heck. Twitch, as of yesterday, I think possibly banned how we aggregate our streaming. So the way we do it is we send it to a company called Restream, and then from Restream they direct it to YouTube, which is where several of you are watching, and then also to Facebook. As of last night, I think they shut that off. So we may have to restart the stream, and if we're going to do that, we're going to ask you to do something crazy. So this is where you get involved. It actually is pretty crazy, but our tech person is right now testing whether this will work. We're going to shut off all channels and then do directly to Twitch, which would make the live stream appear. You could see it, but also everyone else who's used to seeing it. We usually have, a good peppering of people here. Everyone who's used to seeing it can see it as well. So if you would like to see the stream continue, the likelihood is in a minute we're going to ask you to go to this URL. The URL is very simple. I'll put it right here in the chat. It is twitch.tv. twitch.tv/deepmindfulness. We'd love to have you over here. Plus, it's we've just found it's more stable. The irony being that today it's a little unstable, but I think that's because we're restreaming. We're streaming to more than one place. So join us over there now and get that link ready, and we're going to be jumping over there pretty darn soon. This is what's about to happen. We're going to get the signal from Tomlin to see if that's the way to go. It's funny, unrelated, I just got a message on Discord from some random person, which is, like, you get these, I don't know if anyone else has this experience, you get these messages from, like, people whose image is clearly like a stock photo of like a scantily clad model, and the entire message is hello. And it's like, I don't know who that works on, but I'm like, okay. So I just got that message today from Victoria, and I wrote back, I was like, hello Victoria, do you like meditation? No, I was like, tell me about your interest in meditation. Okay, Tomlin, what do you got?
So direct streams also not working for me.
They're not working?
Yeah.
Oh, so it just sounds like Twitch is just down.
Yeah, maybe that could be possible.
Okay. Oh, but are you doing direct? Are you still using Restream, or you're just directly putting in the stream key?
The direct stream.
Direct stream. Okay, and that's not working. Okay, so folks, that's good news for everyone who's not on Twitch right now. That means that the Twitch is just down, which is a bummer, but that means that wherever you are, looks like we got some people from our second YouTube channel where we put all of our long form stuff, and a couple people from our main YouTube channel, which is where we put our bits and our more edited things. So it's just us. So because it's a strange stream, what I want to do is ask you specifically, what do you want to work on today? We're probably going to do an abbreviated practice here. Oh, we got Rory coming from Ontario. Mr. Brills, welcome here. Nice to see you here on the stream. And what do you folks want to do? What should we explore? What weird world of the internal landscape of a human being should we integrate our exploratory system into? Raquel just knocked over a tripod. How dare you? No, you didn't break anything. Yeah, so excellent. What do you folks want to work on? We have, I think, a 12-second delay, so I'll wait a sec for folks. There's a conundrum as a teacher, because you often want to be like, I really want to make something special for you. In particular, I want something special just for you. And people are like, oh, I come here because you're the one who knows what to do. So I'm happy to just guide a meditation. Ooh, we got a puppy. Would you cage the beast, my dear? Or actually, will you bring the beast, since we have a minute? Okay, you guys get to meet the puppy. Rare experience. She's usually very chill, and as soon as we get her in front of the camera, she goes crazy. Maybe I just need to hold her. differently. Here you go. Here you go. Oh, look at my lady. She's such a cute little lady. Do you want to make your dumb snuffling noises that you always make? No, you're silent. You have nothing to say. You're such a cutie. What a cutie. So, folks, this is our feel-good meditation for today. I'm going to plop this one on my shoulder so I can maintain this process and left-handedly navigate the chat here. All right, so folks, tell me. Let's see. So what do you want to work on today? What should we do? No, my little lovely. We could do a nurture positive practice, one where we emphasize the cultivation of kind wishes and lovely feels. That would be fun. No, I just want to snuggle my little darling. That's what my meditation will be today. Darling snuggling. Oh, now your noises are coming out. What do you have to say to the world? This is your chance. You've been fighting for it to have a voice for this long. Tell us. Tell us about the issue. What do you think? Okay. Dr. Brills. Dr. Brill says, I've been working on quieting the part of the mind that keeps setting intention. Okay. I feel like it can get out of control. Constantly trying to decide what the intention should be. Any ideas? Or to get into compassionate metta mindset. I have problems getting there from nothing. Okay, great. I think we'll work on the second one, and maybe we can address the first one. Darling, I'm going to send the animal to you. Yeah. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Whoops. That sounds great. Excellent. Okay, folks, so what that means is we are going to meditate on that topic. Folks, it's so nice to see everyone joining us. Folks over here from Facebook, got some folks on our first YouTube channel, our second YouTube channel, and our other Facebook. Geez Louise, welcome. It's so nice to see you here. Just know that in the chat, if you let us know where you're coming from, it gives us this nice groovy sense of where we are in the world. Nate says, Mr. Brills, I like the focus on bodily sensation there, kind of like what TMI talks about. I have the same problem all the time. So getting into metta mind state. So, okay, we're going to do a meditation today that is a nurture positive practice. This is a practice where we are intentionally shaping our relationship to the world. The problem is that when we start doing this, our lives are so deeply built out of doing, efforting. In a way, it's like we're so good at the doing side of our life that we have very little contact and understanding of the non-doing side of our life. So what we're going to recommend in this practice is that we're going to start from a place of not trying to do or change anything. And from there, that's going to give us a little bit of an advantage because we can recognize that just the slightest amount of doing is enough. And not only is that enough, but we actually get to notice quite a bit more detail. When we talk about this term, and I've talked about it before, metta mind state. Let's simplify that and clarify the terminology. We're talking about kind awareness. Kind, I don't need to define that. I'm pretty sure you can get a sense of what that means. Awareness, right? I was thinking about how would I define awareness in a very simple way. I think you could call it knowing of experiences, and often you would say knowing of seemingly similar experiences. That could be as much as like knowing the sensations of both hands at the same time. So right now, you can notice it's different. Notice the sensations of one hand. You can squeeze your hand. These are the sensations. It's helpful to know and notice, okay, these sensations don't have my troubles. This is free of my troubles. This is part of why meditation is so powerful. These sensations are just sensations. They don't have a story. So we can know those sensations. The mind can zoom in on those particular sensations, but the mind can also do something else, which is different. It can know two sensations which are not physically connected, right? So you can squeeze the sensations in both of your hands and try to detect both at the same time. In order to detect both of those, the mind to some degree has to go into a kind of sort of peripheral shape. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be peripheral to be awareness, but awareness tends to have more of a overall view of something rather than a pinpoint laser view of something. So if we take that awareness, which is simply the knowing of experience as it's occurring, the sort of more or less zoomed in, the sort of more taking it in stance, and add the slightest bit of kindness, just the slightest bit of kindness, that's enough. And then we're just cultivating that to the point where that is consistent in our experience. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little meditation using that prompt. So finding a nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. And because this is a nurture positive practice, we want to be still enough that we can stay with the practice. As I put just putting the chip into the recorder, we want to be still enough that we can stay with the practice itself, but we don't want to be in meditation detention. We want to be kind to ourselves in the same kindness spirit that we're bringing to the practice. So if you need to move, make sure you do. If you think you might be overwhelmed, which is not uncommon, people feel overwhelmed at times, feel free to, open your eyes if you need to. Before you begin, sometimes it can help the nervous system to look around. Oh, there's nothing behind me. You can look around and notice, hey, there's a door over there. Cool, cool. Right? These are just basic signals, not to our sort of conscious mind that we think of as me, but to tell the system, hey, there's no physical threat around. Things are good. This can be a nice way to calm the system, especially if we have any experience with trauma. So finding that nice comfortable position, and when you're ready, we'll begin. I think just for fun, we'll do a full meditation today. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths, just feeling the body rise and fall. Allowing the eyes to close, or if we'd like, we can allow the eyes to rest on a single point. Softening the gaze, and taking a moment to just systematically, place by place, relax the body. Part of what we do at the beginning of a meditation is we change the time scale of our experience. Usually we enter the meditation moving at a certain pace. And the mind continues to move at this pace unless we change that time scale. So if there's a sense of, yeah, sure, I'm relaxed, all set, it may be that the mind is simply saying this. So tuning into the body, how could the body feel just a little bit more relaxed? Let's say in the upper shoulders, head, neck area. Or in the arms. Feeling the body breathe and noticing the tightening and relaxing of the upper chest and upper back as the breath comes and goes. Noticing that if emotion is prevalent, that at times the body will want to breathe more deeply. That's fine. So not controlling the breath, but allowing the body to breathe with ease. Relaxing the belly and the hips. Relaxing the upper legs, the knees, the calves, the ankles, and relaxing the feet. And so far we've zoomed into various parts of the body. And so we're going to step back from zooming or directing the mind, from intentionally relaxing. And for a few moments we're not going to engage in any particular practice. We're not going to try to concentrate or be aware. Not trying to notice anything. Not trying to make this moment better in some way by meditating. Not trying to stop the mind from wandering. We're not trying to do nothing. It's strange when we have a time where we don't need to be anyone or do anything. Still, the momentum of our system thinks that even then we should engage in effort in doing nothing, trying to do nothing. We're not trying to stop thoughts. Or drop intention. Not trying to understand the technique. The mind might drift away. It might come back. We may experience relief from not needing to engage, not needing to affect this particular moment, as we do so much of our lives. Or we may feel anxious, frustrated, annoyed. All of these are natural. And from this place of not needing to affect anything, we're going to add a little teeny tiny bit of doing. Testing the limit of how little effort we need to apply. So for a moment, just knowing that you have a body, experientially knowing that body sensations are occurring now. Can you tell that you have a body now? And now, can you tell that you're hearing? Right now, even if the eyes are closed, can you tell that you're seeing perhaps the darkness of closed eyes, or if the eyes are open and resting on a single point? All the shape, color, contour. If you're unsure if you're seeing, if the eyes are closed, go ahead and squinch the eyes a few times just to notice the difference of dark and light. Can you tell that seeing is occurring? So it's quite clear. The answer should be generally a simple yes. Yes, I can tell that I have body experience now. I can tell that hearing is occurring to these particular ears in this particular moment. I can tell that seeing is occurring. And each of these sets of sensations are quite different. But there is one thing that is the same in each of these experiences, and that's the knowing of the experience, the fact that it is known to you. It's not understanding, it's that it is experienced. And this is awareness. We'll define this knowing factor as awareness. And so awareness simply knows our experience, whatever that experience is. So go ahead and let the system roam, let it float to whatever experience arises. And notice that there's the detail of the particular experience, each one being different in some way. And then there's the knowing that it is known to us, this awareness, which cuts across all of our senses. Notice the knowing doesn't have a preference. The knowing doesn't need anything to be different. So if there's a sense that anything that's occurring is something we want or don't want, in other words, if there's some part of us that wants this moment to be different in some way, a little more of this or a little more of that, this is an indication that this is the system clinging or averting. And this is not the awareness. The awareness simply knows the experience without preference. So we can explore this pull towards preference. Explore the part of us that doesn't need it to be different and the part that wants it to be different. So we can stay here with this exploration, just exploring awareness in contact with various sensations, in contact with the parts of us that want things to be different. Seeing if we can have awareness of that desire for things to be different. In other words, have equanimity with non-equanimity, acceptance of the part that cannot accept. And we can also add something here, if we'd like, with as little adding as possible, a little micro charge, charging this awareness which is neutral with kindness, with care. Making the awareness slightly more receptive. In a way, slightly warmer. And if we over-effort, we might miss how subtle this can be. Simply being aware of our experience, and in this large sea of knowing, perhaps knowing all of our experience together, one large, strange pool, mixing and moving, pushing and pulling. Adding to this sea of knowing, one drop of caring compassion, allowing it to evenly disperse. there are a few different layers of relief that we might soak into. One is the relief of really not needing to do much at all. Not needing to change our world. "99% of our doing capacity is just left unused." There may also be the relief of the subtlety of this one drop of kindness. It doesn't need to be splashy or dramatic. So soaking into the relief of that restful experience. Just a touch of kindness that can soak through all of our experiences. And there can be another relief as we begin to associate this kind awareness with a kind of home, a place we can reside. Place where all of our experiencing, our challenges, our triumphs, all of our neutral experiences, a place that we can navigate all of these strange experiences from this kind awareness. In this way, training the body-mind to know this kind awareness as a kind of universal caregiver. And if we'd like, we can try giving this kind awareness a voice. Saying a simple phrase to emphasize its gentle course of experiencing. The phrase that I like is, "May you be peaceful. May you be peaceful. May you be peaceful." Trying and seeing if this particular kind phrase or one that you find through your own intuition, seeing if this supports this process. But again, using your intuition. Sometimes you simply know what needs to be said. Today, what's coming up is that this kind awareness simply wants to say, I see you. I see you. Finding a phrase or word, or if you find that this is not supportive and you prefer to have it be silent, feel free not to use that prompt. And of course, it may be the case that this is not your experience. There's much more difficulty or identification, less of a sense of some universal kind knowing, more of one of a position from which a self feels it can escape or is stuck. The sense of me. So recognizing that this also is natural. Of course, this might happen at times. Nothing wrong with this. Knowing that experience within the context of all of the other experiencing. And perhaps if it feels supportive, saying to this collection of experiencing, I see you. I see you. Staying with the practice, staying in stillness, allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes, eventually allowing the eyes to rest on a single point as they fully open. Allowing the openness of the seeing experience, the spaciousness of human sight, letting this be something the awareness can ride on, can open up to include. So that even seeing is permeated by this gentle caring. And letting this particular moment, right here, right now, be the guide, be the great teacher that shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay. So folks, one of the central tools a teacher has is the voice of the meditator. There's an axiom in psychology that says the only tool that the therapist has is the unedited voice of the patient. I remember once I said something like this to my therapist, was just saying, I said, I've heard this thing, the only tool the therapist has is the voice of the patient. And at the time, my therapist corrected me, and she said, no, that's not what the saying is. The only tool the therapist has is the unedited voice of the patient, which I thought was an interesting detail. So centrally, as a guide, the only tool that I have is your voice, what your experience was like. So as you make any adjustments to allow the body to be comfortable, taking a moment to assess, what was that like? What happened and what are you like now? And let me know in the old chatteroonie here. Welcome folks who are joining us here on Facebook, on the Deep Mindfulness page. Thank you so much for joining us. Folks who are here on our second YouTube channel, Deep Mindfulness 2, thank you for joining us. And folks who are here from YouTube, thank you for joining us. Lovely to have you. If you're joining us here from, who are usually on Twitch, there is a full catastrophe. No, Twitch is just not receiving streams today, so that's why we are not there. We were just about to announce that we need to shut down our YouTubes because whatever. But right now it's not accepting any streams, so we'll see what happens from there. Coming soon, but I do want to let folks know, if your eyeballs are on the screen right now, we do not have a stream this coming. Today is Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. Friday or Monday. Raquel and I are going on a much needed little mini vacation. It is our first year anniversary vacation, like a week early, but we're very excited that we get to take a little time. So the next time we'll be back here is in 1 week on Wednesday. If you want to know when we go live, I know that on YouTube you can hit subscribe and then right after you do that, you hit the bell icon and then select all. It'll tell you when we go live. If you're on Twitch, which I don't think you are, because Twitch is not receiving information, you hit follow. So, folks, what on earth was that like? Rory says, from what tradition does the drop of kindness come, or is that your own approach? It's my translation of what I was taught in Burma by a monk named Sayadaw Indica. I think it's fair to say, and I'm not like trying to, be Mr. Original over here. I don't think that, being too original in meditation is actually that helpful. I don't know if you went to Burma and practiced with him, if it would seem like the same practice. I think if you did the practice that we've done a bunch, that we're doing, and then went to Burma, you'd say, of course, this makes perfect sense. But if you were to do it the other way around and dig in and then come and see this practice, they might seem quite dissimilar. But basically what I found was people were really, really over-efforting. They were over-efforting dramatically. So what the practice we did today is a combination of a few things. A different Sayadaw Utejaniya, talks very clearly about awareness and has really good, descriptions and definitions and this kind of thing. It's the knowing experience, and I'm surprised his descriptions are very, very simple, and because of that, it's easy for people to have contact with. It's quite brilliant. I think they're actually simpler and more straightforward than even who's our friend here, Chuladasa, as far as getting people to have a clear experience of what awareness is and to be able to maintain continuous awareness. So a piece of it is taken from that, the knowing of awareness, but there is no addition of kindness in the practice that Utejaniya teaches. Where there is this addition of practices in traditional metta, loving kindness practice. But what happens is people are used to the kind of Western metta loving kindness practice where you just like make lots of emotion. You're like, feel happy, I love you, maybe be safe, healthy, happy, and it feels good, which is great. It feels good at the time. It's a nice concentration object. But then as soon as you stop meditating, it goes away. It'll just, all that emotion will die down, and there's a sense of, is the premise that I'm supposed to just effort all the time and create emotion? So this is I find this to be a very interesting balance where we start off with non-doing, right? And just have a taste of that we don't have to effort in any way. And then we add the slightest little bit of efforting, that drop. And that slight little bit of efforting around kindness actually shows us that it's nearly effortless. And once you train the system to do it, it just sort of can do it all the time. And when I talk about the metta mind state, and like I said on the Discord, I'm probably going to be changing that language and reformulating the entire thing. When I talk about the metta mind state, what I'm really referring to is the kind awareness permeating all of our senses, so that, as I taste right now, taste my mouth, it tastes of kindness. I can taste that little bit of kindness permeating the experience. So that is particularly powerful when, in our practice, that we could actually infuse everything we're experiencing, the sound, the sights, etc., with that kindness, with that metta experience. And that is what I call the metta mind, or what actually U Tejaniya uses the term metta mind state, but there's not a lot of specific technology of how to get there. That he just says, is the metta mind state present or not? If it's not, just say it's not present, and then just keep going. Dr. Brill says, I enjoyed that drop of kindness idea. I don't think I've ever guided that before. To answer your question, also, Rory, I don't think I've ever used that as a kind of metaphor. Started feeling it grow, although I've been struggling with dullness the past couple of days, so it was strange, dull, vague feeling of kindness. Yeah, listen, sometimes we struggle with a bit of dullness. I think anyone could stand to sort of dissolve and deconstruct dullness at times. That said, I've had some pretty significant experiences with some dullness present, so it's not the case that you have to have this sort of perfect, brilliant mind in order to have pretty significant insight experience. That's just not my experience. Yeah. And then, of course, when we get more sort of balance of mind, often that dullness will break down. Any other questions or reports as we begin to trickle away here, drifting away into the ether? Any other questions or reports? I actually want to see how far back we are in the stream, how long the delay is. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Holy crap. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This is obscene. 24. 24-second delay. Holy crap. It's almost half a minute. This is obscene. This is unacceptable. This is part of why, I'm not sure if it'll be faster, but I'm pretty sure it might be faster if we just go directly to Twitch, because they're just made for live streaming, and right now we're broadcasting everywhere. So I just want to tell folks, if you're watching this anywhere, I see there's one folk on Facebook, we got some folks on YouTube. I just encourage you to jump over to Twitch. I'm going to put the address again. Jump over to Twitch. Hit the follow button, and I know it's a different platform. It's hard to get people to move platforms. It's not like an easy thing. I know it's uncomfortable. It looks different, and it's like a video game platform, and when they show you advertisements, it's like the new gaming PC is blah blah blah, but there's something sort of comical about that, whatever. But the point is, I think we can probably get the latency way down if we just go directly to Twitch. So more and more I'm starting to think we should just shift over to Twitch, even though our lovely audience is here currently on YouTube. So I just encourage folks to do that. Okay. Okay, so there's another question here. Side question, can I ask you why you choose to live in NYC? Okay, backstory. Oh, we have a new follower here. Thank you so much. Let's see. Oh, I missed it. Jamicus. Let's see. Where do I find... Okay, I can have a little I can look this up. I think it was, I read it quickly. It said Jamicus. Where does it say here? Stream chat, where's the damn thing? All right, somebody let me know who it was who just followed us, because I wanted to say thank you. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for jumping over. That's what happens when you jump over to Twitch and you follow. Why did I decide to move to NYC? Here's the short version. When I was in college, I was going to school for fine art. I imagined that New York City was the New York of the 70s and 80s. That's what I moved here for. That's what I wanted. That's what was my sort of deep interest and desire, was to so you can't comment on Twitch. Oh yeah, apparently. Okay, so right now, like I said, Twitch went down. This is a funny moment where I'm saying, hey, go over to Twitch and follow us. It's better. It's a better situation, and the entire platform just went down. Not common. Happens on YouTube too. We've not been able to broadcast YouTube many times. That's actually why we switched to Twitch, because they kept over and over not letting us broadcast. So I thought it was the New York of the 70s and 80s, which was like a renaissance for fine art in New York. Really experimental stuff, you know, the kind of punk movement happening. People just like barely cost anything to live if you were willing to live in like crummy conditions and that kind of thing, which I would have been fine with. And a lot of community, this kind of thing. And I moved here, and it was very much not that. It was like a lot of like, I mean, the artwork seemed to me like psychedelic wallpaper, and a lot of like low effort photography, and like it just wasn't what I wanted. I came here to make conceptual art and work with, you know, that was just my interest, was like the sort of weird side. I mean, really it's similar to the meditation that we do. It's like the weird sort of heady psychedelic side of you know, philosophical and, you know, exploratory stuff like that. I'm much more on the experiential side now, because I know how to do that in meditation, versus the sort of theoretical side, which is a lot of what I dealt with in was dealing with in artwork. So I moved here for that reason, and I stayed, and then that was in 2002. In 2004, which came very quickly for me because I was, you know, using substances, it just sort of flew by, a lot of pain, a lot of difficulty. I got sober. So I got sober here in New York and fell in with a community of, you know, people getting sober, and really fell in love with it, because there's a very strong history of sobriety in New York. In fact, some of the, you know, oldest sort of forms of ways to get sober, ways to stop using substances, started in New York way back, you know, in the, you know, early quarter of the 20th century. And so there's a really robust recovery community here. And I made a lot of good friends, and I made a lot of friends and connections with people who are really dedicated to morality, which I probably wouldn't have called it that at the time, but it was like dedicated to being a good person, dedicating to be of service to other people, taking call, like, you know, people who are getting sober often really on the edge. So these new people who are struggling, and you get calls at like 2 a.m, and they're like, I'm scared, I'm going to like use drugs, or I'm going to drink and whatever. And you talk to them about your experience, and it helps them. So there's a very clear, direct sense of like, when I do X, it helps people's lives. And it was very clear to me that this was the most significant and most important thing for me in my life, was helping other people. I had had a couple tastes of that earlier in my life, but it wasn't as clear then. So really dedicated my life to that, and grew up and made a community and made friends around that, people who shared similar views of reality. And that's where I met my now wife. And we have another follower here. The universe works. Lovely to have you here. See, if I'm tuned into the right screen, I can read it right away. Thank you, the universe works. Lovely to have you. That's where I met my wife. And then in 2006, which is crazy to me that it was that soon after getting sober, because it felt like eons later, so far later, I got this place that I'm in right now. I wish I could show you it, because it's a big space. It's 1,000 square feet. And for New York, I was paying very, very little. I was paying $1.30 a square foot, which is like insane for New York. But it was a hole. It was just like it was crap. It was like you know, this wall back here existed, that wall over there existed, and it was just like a tunnel, and that was it. There was no kitchen. There was barely a bathroom. There was like a hole in the ground where like there was a drain for a shower, but no shower. And there was a sink, a crappy plastic slop sink, and a toilet. And And so I had to, like, I was like showering in a bucket for like the first year I was here until I personally built a shower. Like there was nothing here. So I invested a lot of my time. This is the biggest project I've ever, biggest long-term project I've ever done in my life. And part of the law in New York is that as far as lofts go, lofts are like industrial spaces, like warehouses that people squat in or live in illegally, effectively. If someone lives in, it's sort of like squatters' rights. If you live in there for a certain amount of time, you can fight and file a lawsuit to have the space converted into a live space, and then the certificate of occupancy, the right to live there, belongs to you. So you could sell it back to the landlord. So it's very weighted on the side of the renter. So we fought that fight for many years. We fought that fight, and I filed a lawsuit, many years ago, and lost dramatically, fully lost. And it was like lost in a way that was like there was no coming back from. It was like, you cannot apply again. There's no way to apply again. And then we did. Raquel came here, and I was like, let's just apply again and see what happens. I think you might be able to see where this is going. And through a whole set of very lucky circumstances, we won. We won very recently. We won actually about 6 months ago, after a decade of fighting this. So now we haven't received anything yet, but we're in the process of getting the certificate of occupancy for this space, meaning it's a rent stabilized space in New York that we can pass down to family members. We can just give the certificate of occupancy to family members. We could sell it back to the landlord if we want to buy out. We own the fixtures, meaning if we put anything in, they belong to us. It's rent stabilized, meaning it can't go up more than like 3% a year, things like this. It's effectively, in New York real estate, which is a very weird, it's the kind of thing that produces people like Donald Trump, right? This is the landscape we're talking about. It's the equivalent, this is what I've been told, of winning the lottery in New York. So that's why I moved, and that's why I stay. That said, we get an itch to see nature and to be in nature so often. So now we're looking at potentially getting a car, because it's hard. We don't own a car. You don't need a car to get around the city. You just have a bike or walk or take the train. So that's the long story. That's how we arrive here today in our lovely studio. Thank you for that question. A little bit of autobiography there for you. Let's see. Rory says I can't comment on Twitch. My messages aren't showing up for YouTube for the stream for some reason. Yeah, so James, just so you know, there's a problem today with Twitch. So if you do something on Twitch, it's not going to work today, and that's a temporary thing. But we wanted to encourage folks to follow us on Twitch, just because basically everything with live streaming is unstable. Live streaming is like the printer of computers. It's like, it's great when it works, but getting it to work sometimes is like mind-boggling, and like you just want to throw the thing. Live streaming is not as stable as you would think it should be. It's like, oh, you just want to go live, big deal. It's actually very layered and complex, and to make it work, there's a lot of kind of workarounds and stuff like this. So with that said, Twitch tends to be the most stable, tends to be the sort of easiest to work with. I like some of the features on YouTube, but basically what happens on YouTube is every once in a while we'll watch a video. We'll say, oh, let's look at what happened was we watched a video with Osho. And if you look on our first YouTube channel, if youtube.com/deepmindfulness, we have a video on there about what happened. And if you just search on our channel, search for Osho. Basically, we showed a video of Osho, and I critiqued it a little bit. I was like, I don't really believe that, but this is good, and like whatever. I wasn't harsh in some way, like just completely dismissive. The Rajneeshi, the people who still manage his community, I guess, his legal and financial legacy, probably primarily, they saw that I had done that and put a not legal copyright strike on my video, meaning I used the material illegally. The thing is, it's totally legal to watch a video and comment on it. That's clearly covered in the law. There's no way that that's not allowed. But what that meant was YouTube shut the stream off for 90 days, not 10 days, not 30 days, 3 months. And we're just building a community, just building an audience, and then we're like, that's it. It happened. It coincided perfectly with our honeymoon, which is actually where we are. We're at the 1 year anniversary, close to. So we're moving over to Twitch. Since then, we've been broadcasting in both places, but we're probably going to slide over more to Twitch just in general. Just a little bit of background here. So yeah, that's the background on what's happening with Twitch right now. James Reed says, nice meditation. I got hit by loads of aversion and icky sensations and kriyas though. Okay, well, I didn't want to get too much into dealing with aversion and dealing with like what happens when the opposite arises. Sometimes you can just observe those sensations and I got a little at the end, in the context of all of the other sensations. So there's the yucky feelings happening, and you observe those as part of the larger mix. Not today's live stream, obviously, but the last live stream, we're observing that from the position of emotion. That last live stream might be a good place to start in order to work with some of that. It's the replay is on youtube.com/deepmindfulness2, the number 2, and that might be a good place to start with dealing with that kind of aversion. What you want to actually, some more techniques to deal with that. Well, thank you, Mr. Bill, for asking the question. James, I want to get this. James Reed Tennick says, I think my messages on YouTube chat were being filtered for profanity, actually. Oh, really? A couple swear words coming up. We do have filters on our thing that won't allow certain swear words, but it's somewhat liberal. I think you can, it's not like you have to be super kid friendly or something, but there's, certain things you can't say. For a while it was too sensitive, and I think someone who's a longtime member said crap, and they were like banned from commenting for like 5 minutes or something. I was like, this is too much. Okay, the Universe Work says, also curious to your experience of guiding people through destabilizing experience is induced by meditation, as well as differentiating between psychosis and spiritual emergency. So I have no ability, and wouldn't begin to claim any ability, to figure out and establish whether someone is experiencing psychosis. It is ethically very questionable for any meditation teacher to do that who does not have an advanced degree in psychology and can, legally, ethically diagnose that kind of thing. That's why I typically say you want to be working with a professional who can help you navigate that. So that's one thing, is really, it needs to be in tandem. The problem is, and you just have to be with someone that you trust and you can really talk to and say, listen, I'm doing these meditations, they're pretty weird, these things are coming up, what do you think? And part of it is to look at the history, part of it is to look at the environment. I had an experience where I was like, basically having this, basically having an intense A&P experience, and I was on retreat. I called a therapist just to say, look, I need to talk to someone, the teacher's on around, can you take time? I'm happy to pay you. And they took the time, and I talked to them, and they were like, so, any thoughts of like killing yourself? Or I was like, no thoughts of harming myself or anyone else. And I was like, I know from knowing this material that this sounds like I'm describing a manic episode, but I'm not. Just so you know, this is directly caused by the meditation, and I'm very clear about that. Once you start getting a sense for kind of what we might call dark night material or this stuff, you can start to taste the flavor of it, because it has this flavor of deconstruction, of sort of decentering of the system itself, deorganizing, decoagulating, sort of disintegrating. I was going to say deintegrating. And you sort of know the flavor, so you can sort of tell what that is. And typically I'm going to encourage folks to, actually, P.S. there is another. It seems like everyone's question is answered on a previous live stream. There's a whole live stream about fear of the void. That's a recent one, and it talks about my current strategy for helping people work through some of the dark night material, which is to begin to navigate the self that needs safety and does not see the increase of perceptual freedom as a good thing, to navigate that self and tend to that self, to not ignore it and not treat it like it's not supposed to be there. That actually, that was one of our best streams in a long time. We had somebody come on and ask their questions related to that. It was very good. So what I would say is look up that video, the Fear of the Void, and I think we actually have it. It was so good. Wow. So good. We actually released a slightly edited version on our main YouTube channel, youtube.com/deepmindfulness. Okay, beep up, beep beep up. Okay, spiritual emergency. Rory says, life is not stable as we often think it should be. Yeah, it is. Life itself is actually quite tumultuous, and it gets tricky. It gets tricky because life right now is really crazy. This is it's hard to remember because we sort of like forget, and we're like, oh, this is normal. This is like the new normal. We're all trapped in our houses, and there's protests in the street to fight against systemic racism, and it's like we're at a very intense time. This is like when we talk about like the 60s were crazy, man, like this was like a very transformational moment. They were, and they set the ground for what we're experiencing now. And this is insane. It's like I forgot. This is like, oh, I wish I had it easily accessible. I'll see if I can find it. It would take me too long to find it to keep the flow going, but basically there's on Reddit there's a subreddit, which is like a subgroup, it's a group on Reddit called History Memes, and they're often really funny, especially if you have even the slightest background in history. And one of the memes is like, I always wondered what it would be like to live in the Great Depression, have what's his name, I forget what the first name of the Taft president was, have Taft as a president, be in the middle of the Spanish flu, and like at the precipice of like when the what is it called, meteor hit the Earth, changing the entire climate. Like I always wondered what it'd be like to live through that, and it's like we're living through that. So just to remember that deconstructive practice is not the best way to go. Sometimes reconstructive practice is actually what we need, and it's part of it is to be respectful to our system, to be respectful to what we are, which is humans. We want to like macho through and be like, yeah, I'm going to just go through for deconstruction. But it's a little bit like this thing, like, who was it? Was it Elvis who just ate like steak and applesauce or something? It's like, cool. You might want to mix that up a little bit. It's like we tend to like to think that the one thing is the answer because it's easier, because it's hard to do anything. So it's hard to have a little more complex view. But the one thing that is the answer from my perspective is the deconstructive material, the lessons we learned from that into the realm of the reconstructive material, and letting those two feed back on each other, and doing what the system is asking us to do at any given point, and trusting that. It's hard to trust the system. Let's see. Okay, let's see. The Universe Works says, appreciate your answer. I think the distinction is a fine line sometimes. Currently, I'm in an internship as a counselor, and last year my master's, as well as working in psychosis for the past 4 years. And so, psychosis recovery. Okay, great. So for you probably have enough of a sort of team of support. I don't know if you can hear it starting to downpour here. This is the sound of my metal roof. Can you hear that? I love, it's just such a nice, I mean, I wish it wasn't so metally sounding, but it's really nice to hear the rain like that. So, yeah, for you, you're going to have a team of people who can kind of look at these things, but you're going to have to explain to whoever you're working with who's assessing this, is saying, hey, this is what this meditation's doing. This is, what's happening. But because there's so many pressures occurring in your life, it might be the case that that's not the practice that you need right now. And so my perspective is people have this sense that insight practice looks like this one thing. It's deconstructive. You just, observe your senses. Maybe you label very quickly, this kind of thing. It's really not, it's not that simple. The metta practice we did today is an insight practice, hands down. We're observing awareness. We're then charging that awareness with a little bit of kindness. Okay, maybe that's a little bit different than regular insight practice, but then from there, we're letting that permeate, and we're watching what happens when I do this. What is the experience that occurs? How do I navigate the world with this awareness? How do I have this continuously going? All of these are hallmarks of a insight practice, samadhi and an insight practice. So we can do insight without it having to look like just raw deconstruction. That's generally what I'll generally say. So, folks, I need to. Oops. Let me just double check that I don't need to jump off like in 10 seconds. No, I can take a moment. Okay, so folks, I have one precise, exact wish for you. That wish is just at this very moment, right now, wherever you are, just to know that the experience is occurring, know that your senses are active, and to know that little touch, that drop of kindness. And to allow that to be part of your experience now. And in this way, just transitioning to our day, not needing the day to be different in some way, not needing us to force the world to be like we want it to be, just to experience it, to have fun, to enjoy. Folks, have a lovely day. Look forward to seeing you in 1 week. Remember, we're not here the next 2 days. We have 2 streams. Raquel and I are going on our honeymoon, or our anniversary moon. Lovely as always to see you folks. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for being here. Look forward to seeing you soon as we can. Have a lovely day, folks. Take care. Be kind to each other.